Greetings, pet lovers. Brigid here with First Street Pets, and today we're going to talk about how to start a pet sitting business part 2, Startup Essentials. Whatever your ultimate dream business is, you're going to be starting out small. But you'll want to create a structure now that will enable you to get your business started and to prepare you for the future. So the first thing we're going to talk about is brand identity. So what is it that you want to be known for? Do you have a specialty? Are you especially good with cats? Do you have experience with horses or other kinds of farm animals? Exotic pets, reptiles, and things that not everybody knows how to handle and properly care for? Do you know how to give medications? Have you worked as a vet tech? What is your thing? Because there are a lot of pet sitters out there, and anybody can feed an animal or walk a dog, but you want to stand out from the crowd. You want to have an identity that is yours alone. So think about that. Think about what your specialty is going to be. What is going to make potential clients want to hire you? Next thing to think about is the name of the business. Now you can be really simple, like just your name, Pet Sitting, Mary's Pet Sitting. You can come up with something generic like Pet Nanny or Pet Minder. Some people do that and that's fine. Or you can come up with something creative. What some people do is location-based, like Detroit's Best Pet Sitters. I just made that up. Maybe there is a company called Detroit's Best Pet Sitters, but the idea with something like that is it improves your SEO, which we will talk more about in the next video on marketing. So if you're in a specific location, New York, Detroit, whatever, and nobody else is using that name, that can help you connect with more potential clients. It's a good idea to have a name that is easy to understand and easy to remember. That's why I chose the name First Street Pets for my blog and YouTube channel, because it's super easy. I can write it down, tell someone over the phone, in a video. Everyone knows what I'm talking about. First Street Pets, they can hear it, they know how to spell it. I've seen some business names that were really complicated or had names that were hard to pronounce or words that you couldn't quite understand what they were. And that can make it difficult for people to find you if they maybe hear the name of your business, but they can't quite remember what it is. So try to keep it simple. Simple words, easy for someone to hear and easy for people to remember. Now, when you've chosen a name, you're going to have to register that name. So you're going to want to go to your county clerk recorder's office and run a search. And today you can do that online, or you can go down to the office and they'll help you with it to see if there's anyone else in your county or in your state with that same business name. Now, there are some rules about this that are kind of complicated, which you can ask them about. But generally, you want a name that's really distinctive. If your business name is Mary's Pampered Pet Care, and there's another business called Mary's Best Pet Care, you probably want to pick a different name because you don't want to get mixed up with another business. You want to be unique. Now, once you've determined that that name is available, you'll have to register it. And you can do that at the county clerk recorder's office, or again, you can do it online. I did mine online and through the mail because there was something I had to actually sign and mail in. You can do that. It's not too expensive. I want to say it was about $50. And that registers that name for you for 5 years, at least in California. That may vary from state to state. And what that does is it gives you the right to use that fictitious business name. You are representing this business name. Once the county clerk recorder has everything they need from you, it usually only takes a couple of days. I got my paperwork signed and stamped in the mail in less than a week. So as soon as you have that paperwork, you're going to want to go down to any local newspaper and tell them you need to file a fictitious business name. There's a certain category in the newspaper for that, and it's part of your requirement for using a fictitious business name. If you look in any newspaper, probably somewhere in the back or in the classifieds, it'll show these things and you'll see them. It'll say Joe Smith is doing business as Daly's Diner, something like that. And that's basically what that is. It's a legal requirement that you'll want to do when you're starting your business. So now that you picked a name, you've thought about an identity, you've started the legal process for registering that name, you want to think about what services you want to offer and what your prices are going to be. Now, when I started out, I offered a lot of different things. I did training, I did grooming, I did transport, I did a whole bunch of stuff, way too much. And you may do that at first. You may try some different things that don't work for you. I even sold dog food for a while by a company that sent dog food through the mail. So there's a lot of different opportunities out there, things for you to try. But you're going to want to niche down a little bit more so as not to stress yourself out. So most pet sitters are going to do drop-in visits and dog walks. That's pretty standard. And some will do overnights. So those are kind of some standard services that you will probably offer in your business. So you want to think about that, like how are you going to do that? What's going to be offered? And then how are you going to structure your prices? Now, there's a lot of different ways to do this. There's no one right way. Many sitters, like myself, just have set rates for one type of visit or the other. Others have a rate for up to a certain amount of pets, and then it's more after that, or it's extra for medications or other extras. I used to do that, but it was just too complicated. That's why I just set my rate at an amount that works for my business. And that includes everything, unless it's really extreme. If someone has 20 horses or something, or 10 animals that are on medication, then we'll discuss, that there's going to be a little bit more extra charge. But most of your standard visits are going to be the standard charge. Now, an average rate based on some studies done across the country for a drop-in is about $25, and for an overnight is about $75. Now, I can tell you that's a little on the low end of average, and if you're in a metro area, it's going to be a lot higher than that. But I wouldn't suggest going any lower than that. If you do, you're not even making minimum wage, and you're not going to be able to keep your business going if you want to run a legal quality business. Now, one of the challenges with overnights, I'll just put this out there right now, if you're going to grow your business, and we talked about this in the last video, whether you're going to be a solo sitter, a partner, or a boss with staff, if you have employees, it's damn near impossible to have them do overnights, because in most states, even if a person is sleeping, you still have to pay them by the hour. So even if you were paying the minimum wage for 12 hours, that would add up to a pretty big amount. You'd have 8 hours of whatever the minimum wage is or what you're paying, plus another 4 hours, I can count. 4 hours of overtime. 8 hours of straight pay, 4 hours of overtime. That's going to add up to way more than most people are willing to pay. So just think about that. Maybe you're just not going to offer overnights because it's too much trouble. Or if you do, you're going to have to do them yourself. I enjoy doing overnights, as does my business partner. That's a big part of our business. We get a lot of business because not a lot of other people want to do it, but it certainly does take a toll. Lately, since Christmas and the few months after, we haven't been home very often. So it can be challenging, but it can also be good money. So these are all things you want to think about as you're deciding on your services and prices. Now let's get back to that fictitious business statement. So you have that in hand. The next thing you're going to do is go to the bank and open a bank account. It is super important to keep your business and personal finances separate. You do not want to do what they call commingling of accounts. It may not seem like a big deal if you have one client and you're making $50 or $100 a month, but as your business grows, you're going to want things to be totally separate. It makes it easier for your accounting, for paying taxes, and for paying your business license, tracking your revenue, and also for the future, should you choose to hire staff, you're going to have a system in place that you can just move up to the next level and start paying payroll. So best to do things right from the start instead of just taking cash or having people write checks to your name. Just go down to the bank and set up a business account. So as I said, you'll need your DBA, your fictitious business statement that's been stamped by the county, and your identification. and whatever their minimum balance is. And some banks, it'll be a couple $100, or some accounts are as low as $50 or $100, especially if they're having a special. Now, definitely shop around, because banks and other lending or financial institutions really vary in their fees and the services they offer. I bank with a local credit union because they have excellent customer service. They're down the street from my home. I can go in there anytime and talk to a real person. They're really nice and helpful, and the customer service is great. They are also fully functional online, so I'm very busy. I can manage my accounts online. I can do mobile deposits. So there's a lot that they offer for me. And being a credit union, the rates are really good for banking as well as for credit cards and loans. So let's say in the future, you may want to take out a business loan for whatever reason to invest in your business. And you're going to want a good rate for that. Anyone will loan you money pretty much, but you're going to pay for it. And you don't want to be borrowing money or using a credit card if you're going to be paying 28% interest. Just don't go there. While you're at the bank, the teller will explain to you how the system works and give you options for debit cards, credit cards, checks. I have a few checks, but I rarely write checks in today's electronic world. I like to set up everything automatic online, but it is a good idea to have a few checks in case you do need to pay it at some place that doesn't take payments electronically. But the bank teller can give you all that information when you're there opening your account. The next thing you need to do is pay for your business license. Now, there is no special licensure required to be a pet sitter or dog walker. In other words, you don't need something like a contractor's license or a license to practice medicine or work as a dental hygienist. There's no requirement at all. Basically, anyone can hang up a shingle and say, I'm a pet sitter. The business license is a tax that you pay to the city or cities in which you do business. And it's just a requirement of doing business there. So good idea to get that set up right away, even if you haven't made any money yet. All you have to do is go down to your local city hall or the city hall of wherever you will be doing business, or you can look on their website and tell them that you're starting a business. They'll give you a form to fill out and you'll pay a fee. Now, there's usually a chart. The fee is based on your revenue. So you're just going to pick the lowest amount because you haven't actually made any money yet. And as the business grows, there will be different tiers. You will renew this license yearly, and then you will select whatever your income level is. And that's how much you'll pay that year for your business license. You will need to set up some sort of a scheduling system or scheduler. Now, back in the day, I had the old day planner, the kind that went in a little leather binder, and you bought the refills at Office Depot for that year, put them in the little 3-ring or 5-ring binder, whatever it was. And I actually wrote my schedule in there by hand, as well as clients' addresses and other information in the little address book that came with it. So that was what I did back then. When computers came around and I got into that, I bought a software program that was Day Planner. It was basically Day Planner on the computer. So I could type stuff in and save it. And then I just printed my schedule each day. Once we got into smartphones and apps, I then used the calendar app that came with my phone. I have Android, I use the Google app. So that's what I did for a while. And then at some point, as my latest business grew, where I live now in Northern California, I wanted to move up. I wanted to have a better system because the business was growing. So I asked my friends in the business, I said, so, is there a software or how can I get all my clients' information into my computer? And they looked at me and said, Brigid, there's an app for that. So I was a little out of touch for a few years, but there are a number of different software programs that you can use for your business. I personally use Time to Pet and I love it. I think it's very easy to use. They have great customer service. When you start your business and set up the app, they will go over things on like a private conference call with you. And then you can always contact them by email or by phone if you have any questions. We have a private Facebook group where all the users talk about different things that we're using, different functionality, or we have a wish list, like if there's something we'd like them to include in the next upgrade. So as I said, there are a number of other companies, but that's the one that I use, Time to Pet. And there's a link to check that out in the description of this video. Now, if you don't have the budget for an app right now, if you kind of want to wait, you can simply use the apps that come with your phone. As I said, the calendar app, the address app, and your phone or tablet will work just fine if you have, 10 clients. But as your business grows and you get busier, especially if you're bringing other people into the business, you need more functionality. You need the ability for clients to schedule directly online, the ability to manage staff, to send invoices. It's all pretty nice to have that at the push of a button. And it can be pretty affordable. But as I said, check it out. These companies usually provide a free trial period to see if you like it. But again, if it's not in your budget right now, just use the app on your phone. You will need to set up some paperwork. Now, I still call it paperwork, even though all of mine is now in the app. But as you're starting out, you may want some hard copies for people to sign. And indeed, some pet sitters do both. They do like having hard copies of agreements on file at home in their office, and then the app that they take with them on the road. I personally don't. I do everything online now, but that's going to be a personal choice for you. But it's a good idea to start out with paperwork because you need to get to know what your business requires. Laws vary from state to state, so you need to know what you need to be telling people and what they should be signing when they make an agreement with you to provide pet care. Now, no paperwork or form is going to protect you 100% from liability, but it can certainly help in getting everything out in the open and showing that you have an agreement with the client to provide certain services under certain limitations. Now, I'm a member of Pet Sitters International. That's one of our trade organizations. They have a great set of templates for this kind of paperwork. I would recommend that you go ahead and buy it. I'm sure other organizations do as well, but I'm not familiar with them. These are the ones that I'm aware of. Now, there is a cost to join the organization, but I think it's well worth it. You get a lot of different services. You get training, webinars, private Facebook group. I talked a little bit about them in the last video. So if you want to just buy some paperwork that will get you started, I would say that's a good way to go. You can just start by writing it yourself or going through a lawyer or a template you find online. But to me, that's going to take a lot longer and you run the risk of not having the functionality you need because you're new to this business and you're going to need to know pretty much what is everybody else doing. What are the standard things you need to talk about? Now, as far as what you need, you'll need some kind of a basic service agreement that you and the client will both sign that outlines kind of the basics, agreement as it says. You're going to want sheets for care for each type of pet. So like a cat sheet and a dog sheet, a horse, whatever other kinds of pets you're going to be taking care of to detail their care. And you may opt for other forms like a report card or special medical care extra forms for plant or yard care or whatever. You have to figure out what works for your business. And again, if you're not buying an app right now, this can all be integrated into your app system in the future. But you'll have all the information at least on file for what you need now. Now, back in the day, before we had computers, I used to carry this stuff around with me. And now I just cringe to think of the lack of security. I had all these forms in a binder, in a backpack, in my car as I did my rounds. And had someone broken into my car and gotten a hold of my backpack, they would have had clients' addresses, phone numbers, alarm codes, and all kinds of personal information free for the taking. So I'm really glad that I can have all this stuff password protected on my phone and tablet now. No one would know how to find it or even know that it was there, as opposed to if they saw a piece of paper with someone's address and alarm code on it and knew they were out of town, that might prompt them to do something they shouldn't. So if you are doing hard copies, definitely don't carry them around with you like I used to. Leave them at home. You can scan them in and save them on your phone, or a quick and dirty way is just to take a picture of it with your phone. But in any case, have it in some device that's password protected so this information isn't sitting around for anyone to see. Business cards. We will talk about this more in the next video, marketing, but I think it's worth a mention here. We can almost do without business cards, almost, not quite. I'm pretty paperless. I like to do everything electronically, but there is still a place for a business card. So you can hand them to clients when you meet them. You can hand them to people who may ask you about dog sitting. That happens to me all the time, because someone will say, hey, aren't you the dog sitter? Do you have a card? And I'll give them the card. Then they can look at the website and book for services later. So it's helpful for that. It's also helpful to have something physical to leave at your veterinarian's office or groomer or any place else where people are looking for a pet sitter. So good idea to do that. You can design them yourself. You can have them designed with the help of something like Fiverr online. Don't spend too much money doing this because, again, this isn't 1940. That's not your only calling card. Most of your information is going to be electronic, but it is good to have something eye-catching with your logo on it or a little picture to hand out to clients or, as I said, to leave at the pet hospital. So I remember back in 1995, a client telling me, hey, you should get an email. And then I could email you, and I didn't have a computer yet. I didn't understand any of this stuff. And I said, well, what do I need that for? If someone wants to get a hold of me, they can just call me. Well, those days are over, and now everything's online. So I'm not an early adopter. It took me a while to get into it. But once I did, I really got into it. And today I think I have a pretty good understanding of how the internet and all its workings can benefit us as pet sitters. So it amazes me that even today in the 2020s, people still think they don't need a website. I hear that a lot from people saying, well, I get word of mouth, people know who I am, I don't need a website, and that's the wrong answer. So this isn't 1995. You do need a website. You can set them up very easily and inexpensively. You can start with a free website. Many companies offer a free starter option with some limitations. They look pretty good. They're easy to set up. Most of them have a template. You can even select like a pet template and just put in your pictures and text. You can look at my website to get an idea of the kind of the basic information you need. I will link my pet sitting website in the description. I personally use GoDaddy. There's a lot of different companies out there that offer these services, but I like GoDaddy because I think it's super easy to use for me. They have good customer service. I can call anytime. I can get them on live chat. And there's a lot of different things integrated, like the websites, like hosting, like email, a lot of different services that you can get under the same account instead of having to have this on one account and that on another account and that on another. To me, that just works for me. And I'll also provide a link to that in the description. But again, go ahead and set that up. If you're not familiar with this, it's not working for you, call the help desk, get someone to help you who knows how to use the internet and computers better than you do, and just go ahead and get that started. I get almost 50% of my business from internet, either from a Google search, from finding us on Yelp, from Facebook, Instagram, or Nextdoor. So you gotta be online. Sure, you may get some business from word of mouth and around town and the vet's office and people you know, but if you want to grow a real business today in the 2020s, you need to have a website. As your business grows and your budget increases, you can upgrade to a paid website with more functionality. And you should be able to just keep the website you have and not have to change company, just upgrading in the same company. I really hope this has been helpful for you. I'm excited to hear about your business ventures. So please, if you're starting a pet sitting business, if you're thinking about it, if you've been doing it on the side, or if you started recently, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Please tell me about your business. What did you do to start up your business? If there's any other information that you think would be helpful to you for future videos. Our next video in this series will be on marketing for pet sitters, so stay tuned for that. And thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe to our channel. We upload content every week. If you hit the bell icon, you will be notified as soon as the new content is uploaded.